Thank you. Welcome to the regular policy committee meeting. We are here at the Cambria Vets Memorial Hall. It is Thursday, March 28th at 3 p.m. And I would like to call this meeting to order. We have a quorum, four of the five or four of the six members of this committee are here. So we have a quorum, that's great. Chair report. I don't have anything other than what's on the agenda. Are there any committee members who have anything that they'd like to report? Claude.
Okay.
Not right now. No.
Left over from yesterday.
Yeah.
From yesterday? Oh.
But they're just there to tempt you and make you separate.
Anything from committee member communications? Anything you all want to report or talk about or?
I want to talk about air pollution. 'Cause that's at the end of the agenda, so
Oh, and
let
that's
you know now.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
okay. We'll go ahead
Okay.
and talk about that during that agenda item.
Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes we'll
So
get to the end.
we have Christine Heinrichs on on Zoom. Christine, do you have any comment on any of those preliminary things that we just talked about?
I'm not sure, what are you asking?
Well, just before public comment, I'm asking if you have any thoughts about the chair report, the ad hoc committee report, or the committee member communication report.
No,
Okay, then let's go on to public comment. Do you have anything as far as the committee members, is there anything for public comment? Nope. Christine, do you have public comment?
I don't think my issue is on the agenda. I wanted to speak on the vehicle policy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it is not on the agenda, but I am going to talk about that.
That's what I was
It's an
wondering.
update on the vehicle. It's 4C. So would you like to wait till then?
Yeah.
Whatever's appropriate.
Yeah, let's go ahead and wait till 4C because I think we'll get there pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. No public members here to make any other public comments, so let's go to the consent agenda. I'm sure you all have read the February 22nd, 2024 regular meeting minutes that were so expertly done by committee member Hall.
Oh, God.
Is there anything that needs to be edited or reviewed or discussed?
I have a question.
Yes.
And 4B, which is what we're going to discuss today, why it was confusing. I don't recall specifically that we took out paragraph 3 totally. But then in there it says that they will still be providing the vehicles for emergency use, I mean, for company to take home.
Yes, what we did was we took the policy, which was sections 1, 2, and 3.
Mm.
And there was so much
Right.
discussion about section 3 and General Manager McElhaney had some hesitation based on needing to talk with some other people about, for instance, organized labor and that kind of thing.
Are we talking about vehicle use?
Well,
Well, we're talking
this
about
is the
minutes.
minutes. I was just
I didn't
clarifying.
realize that they were still authorized as a,
Yes,
but I know, I guess that section 3 said that initially while being changed.
yes,
Right.
that
Okay.
they are at this point, people who are on call are still
Right.
taking their
Right,
vehicles home.
I couldn't, we did have a lot of.
Yes, there was was a lot of discussion. So anything else in the minutes?
I approve the minutes as noted.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
I,
Okay, everybody says aye. Thank you. Okay, let's go then to agenda item 4A. And this is the review, discussion, and consideration of the CSDA policy number 1055, legislative advocacy policy. As you know, this policy has been on our agenda several times.
Yeah.
And that we had some question about whether or not the CCSD actually needed one of these policies. But then I talked with you all who were interested in looking at that, and then also talked with our counsel, and he said that he didn't see anything wrong with the board taking positions on legislation that could impact the district. And so it is here. And we're just looking at it from the point of view that this is CSDA policy. Doesn't mean that we have to have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-page policy for what CCSD would like to do in case of something arising that CCSD would like to deal with legislatively. So I think I'd like to have you all discuss, what do you think we need as far as the legislative policy? Okay. Hey, Claudia.
Oh, my name.
City member Worthen.
Oh. Well, you always think that it's better to have a lot more information than not enough,
Yes.
because you never know what might occur. And so if you try to cover all the bases you can, and CCSD already wrote this, so all to do is just edit it.
CSDA, yeah.
Oh,
CSDA.
yeah, right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Oh.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Just the nuance.
Yeah.
No, not C. The other C thing.
Okay, so that's where
CSD.
you think we should come from.
Mhm.
Okay, how about you?
But look, I'm one of the people think that we should have this in there. Does this district right now need anything more on its plate? Probably not. But I will say this, there are things afoot that could definitely affect this, this district. For example, as you know, I'm sorry. I have absolutely opposed to this offshore wind thing for lots of reasons, but not least of which is that it could very much have impact on our tourist business, not because we'll see it, but because of the very, very possible environmental impacts that this thing presents. How does that affect us? Well, people come here to Cambria because they like to see otters. They like to see quails. They like to see sea life. They are interested in those things. Those things get damaged, ecosystems get ruptured, and that is not going to be good for our district. And so I don't know at this point whether, the board wants to look at any of that right now. But I think that it's important for the board to be able to respond to those types of things that could affect the revenue in our area. And for that reason alone, I think that this should be a policy available to the board. How often you'll get to use it, Lord only knows. But to have at least some structure available for the board, and for the general manager to suggest to the board, I think is it's a good tool to have in your back pocket. That's
So what you're saying, Ted, is yes.
Yes. I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
Okay.
but I'm saying that, I am saying using a lot of words to say that, but
Yeah.
for the very reason right now. That I think, that offshore wind presents a real problem.
Committee member Townsend.
So, um, I don't have a strong opinion as to whether we need a policy on this or not. I would just note that in the policy that's in there, it does refer to the staff personnel that tracks legislative activities, and I don't think CCSD currently has somebody who does that, so that would mean that they would need, if we were going to adopt this policy, we would need to allocate some additional FTEs time to full-time equivalent. That's a salary thing. Sorry.
We know that.
You know that. There was a time when I didn't. Unless the board is willing to throw a little money at this issue, then we probably shouldn't take on additional obligations at this time. The other thing I noted on this is that the policy states that the general manager or designee can comment on something if the position is consistent with the adopted advocacy priorities. And I'm not aware that CCSD has any adopted advocacy priorities
No.
either. And sort of circling back to Ted's comment, based on what's in the boilerplate here for adopted advocacy priorities, it doesn't say anything about environmental impacts of projects outside the district, which would mean that if we adopt this policy without changing it,
Mhm.
we'd have to, besides having to designate somebody to look at legislation and adopt some advocacy priorities, we'd have to modify those advocacy priorities
Yeah.
to encompass whatever it is we want to encompass. My personal opinion is that the board and the staff at this point in time should be sticking to their knitting and trying to get the water main replaced and the Stewart Street tanks replaced and the restroom done on the East Ranch and there's some permit we're looking for something that we built a few years ago. I forget exactly what that was. So there's plenty for us, for the CCSD to be working
Yeah.
on right now. And I don't know that this would be something that we might want to revisit in a few years when we sort of cleaned up the messes that were left for Matt to clean up. I don't think he needs another mess on his washing list at this particular time.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
Committee member Heinrichs, do you have thoughts on this?
Well, I had thoughts when we had it originally, what was being accomplished. But at one time, obviously, CCSD thought very heavily, spent lots of money advocating. And whatever that
For,
gain is, I don't know, they went there
For the
all the
water.
time, Sacramento.
Oh,
really? They have lobbyists.
Yes, that's what
oh,
I'm
They
saying.
have
This-
lobbyists for lobbyists.
This is a sore point of sorts because what we accomplished once doing that.
yeah.
And then, the general manager got to go all the time and
Oh.
pretty soon, it got to be a fun event, I think, to me. So,
Junk it.
yeah, but, okay.
Although
But,
I'm not sure that Sacramento would qualify as a junket location.
But I think there are times, just like Ted is indicating, that this is an important aspect because we're a small community, but we are in the line of fire for future opportunities for this windmill involvement. Maybe not necessarily in itself, but socially with housing and other things that we would be involved with. But the one thing it shows in here that is 10.55.1 policy goals is you seek grants and funding assistance.
Yeah,
And that's something I think is very important because I don't know whom is trying to do that now in the CCSD board, other than something comes up and we find out, oh, 2 weeks from now, this is due and let's get it in, see if we can get it. And well, we didn't do very well, so maybe we'll do better next time.
well, we do have,
So that's where I don't.
we do have allotted funds in the budget. You want to speak to what is happening with grant writer slash
Sure.
looking at grants?
So we contracted with Elijah Mergen, am I saying that correctly? Merman. And so we had allotted grant funds in the budget process year after year after year, going back
Right.
historically, but we never used them.
Right.
So we finally contracted with a grant writer, and now he's working primarily with utilities department
Mhm.
on focusing on a lot of grants for water and wastewater. And then the fire department has a unique set of grants through FEMA that they work through every single year, whether it be the safer firefighters, equipment, things of that nature. And then obviously Haley and I are working on a whole nother set of grants at the admin level for the skate park. We're doing one for a community evacuation center. So that is the climate resiliency grant.
Mhm.
And so we're in the middle of working with that. So we're doing a lot more with grants that have been done in the past, from what I can tell.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted you all to have that information because I didn't think that was well known out there. I mean, we talk about it at board meetings sometimes,
You
but
know, we're gonna continue to allocate those monies in the budget. So we're gonna be working on the budget here in the next few months. I think we're gonna try and increase that budget. I think, what was it, 16,000?
I think we only have 13.
yeah,
About 13,000 grants. So, you know, the return on investment, I think, at least for the 13,000, I
Yeah.
think we'll probably see some of that this year. And then I think investing more into that, the ROI should be a little more significant.
Yeah.
If we can actually nail in some grants. So, and there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there designed for our specific community. So.
Well, sort of my question then would be, we have a grant writer, they have to be in tune with what's available for grants.
yeah,
Of which one place would be Sacramento, I think, for government opportunities, of which then this would lend itself to that person having been advocated for us to get grants.
mhm,
It's something, now you're paying for somebody to do this, right?
yeah,
And that's what we're doing already, and people are saying, well, we don't want to pay somebody to do this. So to me, it's kind of part of that job,
what do you mean? You mean as far as,
an advocate.
oh,
If that's what somebody mentioned, that
yeah,
we'd have to have, Jim was saying that someone would have to be paid, but it sounds like we're doing that to a certain degree, but.
yeah,
Well, the grant writer is a very different position than someone that's looking at
Right.
proposed legislation.
but that's what they're doing.
They.
Oh, not,
No, he's
no,
not.
No, no.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I thought, I didn't let
Our
you
grant
finish your
writer's
sentence.
role is more advocating through the grant application.
Right.
He's very familiar with the different grants, whether it be federal, local, state.
Right.
Yeah,
So his intimate knowledge of those types of grants that he's worked with other agencies. So Elijah's worked with several community service districts, cities. And so he has a good feel for what grants would fit, you know, our organization. But as far as advocating at the state or Sacramento level legislatively, I honestly don't think he would be interested in it.
No.
You know, it's not
No.
really his wheelhouse.
no,
Yeah.
yes, do you have anything you'd like to speak to?
Yeah, I don't think that this is really appropriate for this district as it's set, but
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily follow that something might not be appropriate. This, as I see it, is setting out a kind of a framework, that is to say, there should be procedures.
Yeah.
And then there should be a policy, just policy principles
Mhm.
and priorities, advocacy priorities.
Yes,
So this is for a situation where if the district really did want to monitor what's going on in Sacramento.
Yeah.
In fact, the CSDA does, I remember, I used to get emails about, upcoming
do.
legislation and, oh, it's scary, this guy's
Yeah.
gonna pull,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I don't know that this is necessarily appropriate for us. And I think the grant, it's not that well written.
No.
And so
Yeah.
this grant bullet doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't even need to be in there.
right, I already circled it,
Yeah.
it's like, no,
What would be is if the board should at some point decide to hire a lobbyist to lobby a legislator to put forth a bill to give us money, and this has happened, Carbajal, and was it I forget who it was that got us
It was called.
federal money for the Stewart Tree, which we're still waiting on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funds are there.
So, but that's sort of a different thing. And there's other stuff in here that relates to the CSDA's function.
Yeah.
In fact, there's much of what we're talking about, especially when you get into the various kinds of things that should be lobbied for.
Right.
They're more how CSDA is working in terms of what they're saying is, we want to preserve our autonomy. We
Right.
don't want unreasonable regulations,
Right.
all those kind of good things. And that's something that you do deal with the legislature.
Well, and that,
Yeah.
that is the role of, one of the roles of the CSDA
Yeah,
is that they monitor things that will have an effect on, special districts.
Right.
Did you have,
For a membership,
yeah, we do.
how much do we pay you? No,
Yeah, several thousand.
it's a decent amount.
Yeah.
And so, each area has its own CSDA representative.
Right.
That stay in close contact with us,
Yeah.
upcoming issues that.
Yeah,
that
we get
specialists
emails
focus.
probably,
And then, obviously. we
3 or 4
attend a
times
lot
a
of
week.
CSDA conferences.
Yeah.
And so when you go to those conferences, they have all of the
Mhm.
hot buttons,
Yeah.
hot topics that are facing. But I do think it makes sense on specific, maybe local legislative issues, a lot of the talk about getting a little more of those, tourism, getting a piece of the tourism
Yeah.
tax.
Yeah.
That we're excluded from.
right. And the other thing is this seems to be set up so that there's a framework that can then just chug forward.
Yeah.
Because as long as your designated person, in this case, it's often suggesting it's the general manager,
yeah.
but it could be some other appointed person.
Is this part
As
of your
long as the
job
stuff,
description?
as long as they're following the
As a
procedures.
Legislative
Yeah,
advocacy.
just a
Sorry,
minute.
go
Is
ahead.
this part of your job description?
The legislative advocacy, I don't think it's
I don't
mentioned in there
think
specifically,
No, but
but I did talk yesterday with pros, because they have a laundry list of things,
Yeah.
that are county related.
Right.
That they would like to move forward, and so instead of, and after the last board meeting where the message for the board, not mine, was to refocus, more on community issues.
That was my message too. is
Yeah.
recall.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, well, let me have your projects, let me have all your concerns,
Yeah.
draft, a laundry list
Mhm.
of things that you would like to see the county to work on, and then let me take it from here, and then I can advocate with Blake Fixler, with
Yeah.
Bruce Gibson.
Yeah.
Slow cog, and so as some of these monies are being allocated for future uses. I have something to give them and say, these are some of our top priorities, so in a way, it's being done.
so there's something happening there as part of your jumping. But this idea was not only as long as that person was following the procedures and the principles,
Yeah.
that letters could go out without the board ever actually seeing it until after the fact. It was kind of like a set it and forget it situation.
Yeah.
Which under certain circumstances would be great if that's what the board really wanted to be politically active and hire somebody specifically to do that. So I don't think that the way this is designed
Yeah.
is suitable, but I think there might still is a space for something.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what that something
I,
should be.
I do have some thoughts.
Okay, there's my
What would
thought.
you like to say?
Well, I just didn't look at it like everybody else did. I just looked at it as far as things that I thought that we should fix in it, but not everything. It's a few little things. They mention, I'm gonna find it now. They mention CC included it as this is number 6 under whatever. Number 6 under latest 1055.3 legislative advocacy
Mhm.
procedure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Number
6, you think?
Yes.
6. I mean, this, I'm just editing and not doing what you're doing, but anyway, so the very last line, it says shall be included as a CC on legislative letters. And I said, you spell out what CC is, just because that's what you should do, but that's a nitpicky thing. Well, you should, because I may not know what a CC is. And then you just mentioned something about, going ahead and doing legislative, advocacy and not talking to anybody about it. I think, and it doesn't say this in number 8, but the board should have a vote and what goes on with this. I mean, you can't have the general manager or his designee, doing this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
without anybody knowing what he's doing or she's doing. So that was a comment. And then it was down to number governance and accountability. The top of the next page, accountability of them, I think can't be put. Oh, there's something in here that makes it sound like they could oppose additional public meeting records requirements, oppose additional public meeting records requirements that unnecessarily increase the burden on the public resources. But it sounded like they didn't want to give out public records, so I want to make sure that was clear that they weren't stopping people from getting public records. And then give an example of too much public, so they say too much public in here. Is that, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So that needs to be fixed. And then under human resources and personnel, as public agency employers, support policies and foster productive relationship between management and employees. I wrote down how to minimize state mandate. Promote. I just wrote it. Hang on a second. Hiring management benefits require that word. Oh, enhance the ability to recruit and retain highly qualified, career-minded employees to public service. And I put how to maximize or minimize state mandates. What was I talking about? I don't know. Maintain special district ability to exercise local flexibility and minimize state mandates, contract requirements. So that's what it was. How do you do that? So that's what it was. That would be that second paragraph under human resources. That might be all I have. That's all I have. But the other comment is that the first thing we said is that we don't have someone to take care of this, the data. Something like this that doesn't happen very often would only require somebody who's already employed to just do that. It just seems to me that we have enough qualified people. I don't want to give more stuff to Haley, 'cause she's got enough. But Haley has a couple of people working for her. Why couldn't they take on that role just when it's needed? This is not a full-time job to do this.
No.
It's, it's something that somebody could just do in addition to their regular work. So I don't think that's prohibits this. And there was one other comment that somebody made, and I forgot what it was. I did see one more little thing. Hang on a second, let's see if it's, oh, okay, under, just above 1055.10.1055.3 legislative advocacy procedures, there's a paragraph, so generally the district will not address matters that are not pertinent to the district's local government services, such as social issues or international relations issues. And I wrote down, when do you discuss those things? So I think that should be spelled out. But,
So
those are my comments.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So my thought is this. I think we should make our own
Yeah.
legislative advocacy policy that utilizes the staff we already have and identifies, for instance, that we have a grant writer and how that person utilizes some of the information that's in this policy. But the other thing that would probably work is when there is a legislative issue that comes up that in regards to special districts, the board president could assign an ad hoc committee. And that two people could do whatever research they needed to do, and then that could come back before the board. And then if there are letters that need to be written, or if there is clarification that needs to be done, then that can be, we can ask the staff to do that. And so what you're saying, I think we need to not use this,
Yeah.
and we need to do our own legislative advocacy that talks about how we deal with it when there is an issue that comes up. And I think where that information comes from, generally speaking, is CSDA. That's where that information comes from, and any board member can bring that information to the board. And then at that point, we can assign how it's going to be dealt with. Does that make sense to you?
But you want to throw this all out and just start from scratch, or do you want to
Well,
modify it?
I don't wanna use this as a template
No.
because there's too much in there that doesn't really apply to CCSD.
Yeah.
pick and choose is what I would think.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
first paragraph
yeah.
is reasonable,
And-
whatever.
It's things.
Yeah, and so, I mean, what we could do is we could assign an ad hoc to do that. You have something that you wanted to say?
Well, one of the things in here is that, determine if the legislation aligns with the district's current approved advocacy priorities.
Right.
What are those?
Well, we're not gonna do advocacy priorities.
Right.
What we're
So-
gonna do is we're gonna look at what we have control over and what we do not have control
Okay,
over.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that would be then part of the
Yeah.
policy.
yeah, part of the new draft, yeah.
So, I'm gonna ask for public comment and then let's talk about how we go forward.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there, we still have Ms. Heinrichs, do you have anything to say about this agenda item, Ms. Heinrichs?
No, I don't have anything to add. Thank you for this discussion.
You're welcome. Okay, so, are there two people who are interested in, being on an ad hoc committee to formulate some rough bones of what a legislative advocacy policy would look like for CCSD?
Yeah, maybe kind of a rough outline.
Rough outline.
So how it might look,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
What do you think, Don?
Don't everybody jump in. I have the minutes.
Yes.
Kind of trying to resist.
I don't have time to do it. I don't.
This is something not required to be done recently or
No,
No.
I have an interest in it, but, maybe we can work off this framework because I don't know what choices are sometimes.
yeah,
Right.
But I felt that this is too much and
way too much.
And-
Yeah.
could be fine tuned, but I just didn't know how to do it
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
It looks like,
So,
Claudia had some notes that she was definitely interested in being involved.
Well, I can be involved in that sense, but as far as writing it,
Yeah,
I don't
no.
have time to
So-
do that.
how about if,
I think that Dawn should write it because he's the words.
how about if I put together an outline?
That's a thought, you know.
Oh,
And I'll bring the outline back to the next
good
committee
idea.
meeting, and then at that point, you'll have a better idea of what would need to be put in.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Could I tag on something to that? maybe?
Sure.
If we all know that that's what
I like that.
what the chair is preparing for us,
Yeah.
we can, in the meantime, do our own homework
Yeah.
and kind of jot down what, very broadly.
Yeah,
And for example, there are certain kind of questions like, well, what advocacy is appropriate? What is not?
yeah,
Or, and the other thing we've had it, doesn't happen often, but occasionally the board gets approached by an outside person.
Yeah.
Asking for some form of advocacy. We've had it with the styrofoam.
Yeah.
And that, I've seen it in other cases. I can
Dark sky.
envision the wind farms coming up,
yeah,
things that maybe aren't directly,
yeah,
but where, and so this is more like as a proposal to the board, what is appropriate? How should the board respond?
yeah,
And then the board can mess
Yeah.
with that.
yeah.
But that's-
So send me any ideas that you
Yeah,
have,
that's sort of what.
and I'll just do a rough outline, and I'll bring it back.
Yeah, so just maybe.
But
a
we're
bunch
not
of
gonna,
bullet
we're
points.
not gonna, we're not gonna just,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. oh,
Sounds,
Especially here in the comments. And I think they're all good.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm not.
and outline.
But that's,
All right, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, then I don't think we need to do a vote or anything on that.
No, I don't think.
no, not
Okay.
just like something.
Consensus.
All right. Let's go on to the next agenda item, and that is discussion and update on board action on policy 1045, legal counsel and auditor. You have, I hope you all got a copy of this beautiful document.
Yes.
This is, it's not here. I have extra ones. Does everybody have one?
Is it in the agenda package?
No,
Oh, it's not.
It was
on the
here.
packet.
There you go, Claudia. This is-
Thank you.
yeah. Let me tell you what happened. And I'm really, really sad that none of you were there Christine was there, but she was out of the room during this, that the board had this discussion. This is the discussion and update on board action on policy 1045, legal counsel and auditor. And you know that this has been here many, many times. So what you have in front of you, which is what the handout is, was, and the two things that are in your packet are the two different versions that went before the board with updates, not only from this committee, but also from general counsel, board counsel. So there were different opinions, as there always are, from board members, and the document that you have that was a handout today is what came out of that discussion. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a chance to take a look at that since it was a handout. Generally, what, there were some things that the committee suggested that are in this, new policy. It has not been approved by the board. It needs to come back before the board, but this is the format. This is the version that the board will be taking a look at. And in fact, it's gonna be on a consent agenda. It's not gonna be, bless you. It's not gonna be something that is gonna have a lot of discussion. But, I did, give the information to the board about our discussions here. You listened in, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, stand up.
I didn't
Yeah.
say anything, but I was watching.
They did take out that we were going to, look at doing RFPs every 5 years and that kind of thing, because the contract that the board has with our legal counsel is anytime that they're unhappy with what he's doing, they can just give notice and we find someone else.
But they never have.
Yes.
They haven't in how many years?
Way too many years.
Well, at least 15,
That's true.
15 years, at least. I've been here.
Is it okay to make comments?
Oh, sure.
So the board, the elected board of directors have a fiduciary responsibility to the ratepayers, to be stewards of the ratepayers' funds, right?
Yeah.
And to my way of thinking, not being sophisticated in any of this stuff here, part of that fiduciary responsibility is to ensure that the services that the district contracts, which includes legal services,
Mhm.
are secured in the most cost-effective manner. And unless there is opportunity for providers of that service to compete for that business,
Mhm.
then the board has no clue as to whether or not those services are being provided in a cost-effective manner. I mean, just anecdotally, when I hear, oh, the lawyer doesn't come to the board meetings anymore because we have to pay him his regular rate to drive from San Luis Obispo to Cambria, that's outrageous. And the board clearly doesn't care, because they let it go on. And so, and handing our comments to the person who is the subject of this policy to edit it himself or herself, is a bit different, is pretty inappropriate. Let a contractor write their own job description.
Let me explain to you how that process went. I brought it to the board
Mhm.
exactly how you all wanted it
Mhm.
the very first time,
Mhm.
right? And the board said, has Mr. Carmel made comments on this? And he said, yes, I would really like to.
Take out
Like-
that RFP part. yeah.
No,
Oh,
no,
I lose my job.
no, he
Say, let's
said,
find out that I'm charged
I would like.
3 times more than.
I would like to
Probably
take
should.
I would like to take the CSDA policy and put in there what I actually do.
Mhm.
And so he said, okay,
So it's a very short
just, it was a very, well, no, it was
Because
very,
it's based on what he actually does.
Was that the red stuff that's on this?
The original
the original one, let's see.
goes way back.
You bet your
I
butt.
don't think it's.
It's, yeah,
Kind of like
well,
this
I-
page here, right?
It's
yeah,
actually-
no. No, I don't have
Would that be the-
I don't have the very original one.
Yeah,
But what he did was he did not take anything out. He added
Mhm.
to what he actually does, okay? So then it came here
Is
and
that the
then,
blue of this sheet or something, or?
That's something else.
let's see.
What he added, we don't really have the original thing that shows his changes. That was in our last meeting. If you
No,
have.
there's a.
Yes,
there's
it's
a-
right here.
There is one in there, that's
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
There's
there's
one
one.
with some notes on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
on
the
the
first
side.
bullet, for example. The
Yeah.
one with the notes on the side, those are my notes.
Yes,
Indicating what, if you look at the things that are the comments show what we decided in the
Right.
meeting.
right.
And the blue is what they decided prior to in other words, when we got this, and then Deborah passed it on to
Yeah.
me. I was in the form that you see on this page, but
With
without
the-
the comments.
With the blue and red, yeah.
And so what I did was I looked at it and said, oh, this almost got everything that we talked about. And so, for example, the first comment, which basically is what we had decided
Sure.
to be added. And the blue is what they decided to be added. And I'm just expressing an opinion there that they are substantially the same, but at least so you
Yes.
could see what you all said and what came out on their side.
And
Well,
who
he
did the
did-
red part? Is that yours or?
No, the red part is actually Carmel's.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he put in there what he actually does,
Right.
which is part of what basically his contract.
Yeah. So that was the one thing had to do with closed session, basically. And then as the RFP, if you look at the comment here, and what the board was having, the selection shall be done in a notice public meeting at least every 5 years,
Right.
was the board doing that. But now, can I respond to that?
Yes.
Because the actual discussion, and this comes directly to what Jim, what you're talking about. The feeling was that compared to an auditor where you have to switch every 5 years, because you don't want the person doing the audit to develop a relationship
Right.
with the people being audited. But in the case of the attorney, and I have to agree with this, having dealt with lawyers a lot, is that if you've got an attorney that you've been having, has been doing your family business and pursuing it, you don't just regularly just fire that attorney and look for another one, because that attorney has all this back knowledge that of your family and everything. If you had to start over each
Mhm.
time, you'd have to explain you're in all of everything about your family and everything just to get the lawyer up to speed with the question to be dealt with today. And this was the feeling of the board was that since they're free to fire their attorney whenever they want, if you've got something that somebody they're happy with, you really want to hang on to them. And I have to agree with that.
So the cost is irrelevant.
Well, let
No,
me,
the cost is
no,
not irrelevant.
no,
But you're thinking there's a bunch of cut rate attorneys out there.
no,
That's
let
not
me,
true.
can I explain
Oh,
that
sorry.
part? Okay, so he just signed a new contract, what was it? 2 years ago
Last
or
year.
last year? I think it was last summer. And what staff did was they went to like districts and they looked at the attorneys that those people were using and what were the rates.
Mhm.
Not only that, prior to that redoing of his contract last year, he hadn't raised rates for how many years? Haley, do you remember?
Yeah, it
It
was
was
quite.
quite a few.
Yeah,
Quite a
10. He hadn't raised rates for a very long time.
Yeah,
So,
Quite well,
huh?
doing quite well.
Well,
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Going rates now.
but then we looked at these different districts and we looked at how much they're paying their attorneys. And our attorney was still a bargain.
We also,
Get what you pay
we're
for,
also
don't you?
San Luis
Well-
Obispo County, and they're probably a bigger city, so they, they command more money.
Yeah, but we were looking at
But-
like,
But how do you compare one good attorney from another? I think that was kind of more of a discussion is that, are we, doesn't matter what we're paying him. It matters what kind of quality of work we're getting from him. And I've heard a lot of people complain that they don't feel like they're getting the quality of work, legal work that we deserve.
Well, I don't agree with that.
Well,
And let-
that's just,
yeah, and let
I
me-
didn't say that. I'm just
yeah.
saying I've heard
And
quite
let
a few
me,
people
and let me
complain
tell you
about that.
why, because, I mean, we've asked a lot of questions like, do we have more, suits pending than other other special districts? No, we probably have less, but, and this was, we had, a council who, what does his specific, what he does a lot of is working with special districts with,
We're talking about Tim.
yeah, no, not Tim, the other guy that we
David?
had. David,
David.
no, the other one,
The one that does the
That's-
Brown Act,
Asha?
no,
the one that gave the presentation on the Brown Act?
no, that's
Hirsch.
that's David, yeah. No, we even had someone come in who does a lot of work with special districts, and he said, you guys are doing great. So, I know the public opinion is that, Mr. Carmel, isn't doing what he should be doing for this district, and that he's getting paid too much money. But as a board member, and I see what goes on, I don't agree with that.
Okay, I think what it is more of, people don't always agree with what he says is legal or not legal. And, I think that that's what perturbs people, because they find that sometimes he says things that are not in the best interest of the ratepayers. And that they don't feel that those are good legal advice.
And are
That's-
they attorneys?
Hmm?
And are they attorneys?
I don't know. I'm just
See, and
telling
that-
you, I'm just telling you what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think it's okay to question him. And I think
Oh,
we don't do
absolutely.
that enough. And, you know,
Who
'cause I
doesn't?
hear,
Who doesn't do that enough?
well, I just hear people say, oh, let's just ask, Tim, let's just ask Tim, let's just ask Mr. Carmel. And it's like, but don't you have an opinion? Because yes, there's law and but then there's also ethics, and sometimes you have to kind of balance those.
Absolutely, I agree
So-
with that.
So I think
Yeah.
that you have to have a collaboration with your attorney, like you have a collaboration with your doctor.
Yeah,
Just to blindly, take whatever he says, I think is just,
but you
it's
don't,
not prudent.
but we
So,
don't.
Okay,
Yeah. so that's
We
true.
don't.
We don't. It's-
No.
well, I hear it in the meetings, so that's.
I know.
Okay, well,
And in the meeting, what he's doing is he's telling us how to follow the Brown Act.
okay.
And what we've done in this new policy is we have put in that, if requested, he needs to do a written report.
It says oral.
It says oral or
Or-
written.
Well, he's gonna go for the oral.
Well,
Can I say?
I have
Okay.
We
said
don't
to
wanna pay
him,
him to write it.
you
is
guys
what
can
Jack
back
said.
what- yeah.
One other,
just
I
one
read
minute,
one
I have
other
said to him,
point.
are you gonna put that in writing?
uh,
Haven't I? Yes,
And it's also documented in the minutes almost verbatim
Right.
what he's saying. So if
Yeah.
you check my minutes, it's verbatim what he's
Yeah.
reporting out.
So we can always check that.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, then the other thing that I have a little bit of personal complaint about, because I've been to two of these, and that is this Mr. Hirsch, I guess you call him David,
yeah.
sometimes Hirsch. I've been to two of his Brown Act talks, and he works for the same company that Tim Carmel
Yes.
does, right, doesn't
Yeah.
he? Well, I believe that he should not be asked back, and the reason why is because twice now he's come to the meeting, the first thing he says is, I didn't write this PowerPoint, so I'm just gonna
Right.
wing it.
yeah,
And it just
That's not-
appalled me that we would pay this guy $500 an hour, or whatever we pay him, to come and do that. I could do that,
yeah, Yeah.
our GM could do that.
do
You
somebody
could
else's,
do that,
yeah.
but not pay an attorney. So that's a legitimate
give them that
complaint.
feedback?
So please don't have this guy come back again.
Yeah.
Until he's at least written his own PowerPoint.
And you've said that out loud to our GM, and he will pass that information on.
Thank you.
Yes,
Is not Carmel work for other cities
Yes. Yeah.
similar as ours?
Templeton, I
Yeah.
think is
So
one.
therefore, if you ask them what they're getting, same price we're getting, it'd be comparable prices.
we ask,
I'm just,
we
that's my
ask more
question
people
here.
than just Templeton.
No, I'm just asking the questions,
Yeah.
that we don't have an area there, he has grasped a lot of information from different cities and does a good job overall, but
Yes,
a lot of this information is the same information that he's gathering from other people and using that as his own information, so we don't know if our strategy is better than our other cities.
do you have that, the board report when we renewed his, when we renewed his contract?
The staff report?
The staff reported?
Yeah, I could pull it up.
Okay, can you put it up on the thing? Okay, I think that's really important. Yes,
So when the board did their review, or should I say gathered data, comparison data.
Yeah.
How often would that happen? Only at contract renewal? Is that, when?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
unless I'm mistaken, you indicated that this survey of rates was done at some
Right.
point. Was this, what prompted this? What, what's the structure behind?
Renewing his contract.
Okay, so
Yeah.
at contract renewal, then the board goes out and has a good look at who's getting paid what. Okay.
So here,
Incredible bargain is what's happening.
yes,
That's, man, I paid
Maybe the
bargain because
he's not as competent as a more
What is he charging it now?
He's going
two
from
twenty-five.
185 to
Oh, my
225.
God.
I mean, and the standard real, 225 is really cheap.
Yeah, it's not that cheap if he's getting paid to sit behind the wheel and listen to NPR
But that's not what's happening.
while he's driving up here.
That's not what's,
No, that's not what's
that's not
happening at
what's
all.
happening.
He's attending meetings specifically for the purpose of providing advice on Brown Act issues.
But did he
Keep
get
the
paid
board-
for does he get paid for
Yeah.
driving?
No, I mean, yes, he would.
he
Okay.
doesn't drive,
Well,
So he doesn't drive.
yeah.
he
But
doesn't drive.
what he does for
He
us,
doesn't come to the meetings
He
anymore.
he doesn't need to because he doesn't debate. He simply answers questions.
Right,
Or advises us if, we're starting to stray away from the Brown, it's like, he'll warn us, them, not us anymore.
yeah,
If the discussion is straying away from the agenda item.
right.
So
Keeps us
what,
legal.
this, the work you don't see, which is, and I can see the problem, it's because how do you know if you don't see it?
That's right.
But
I
right now, man,
have
I'm.
no opinion on the quality of
Yeah.
Mr. Carmel's work. I don't. I don't. But, I mean, I would say a couple of things if the work is so good and if the cost is so reasonable, then why not do it in the light of day? Why not have a fair competition for the position like you would for any other sort of contracted position? So that everybody can see what a wonderfully intelligent decision our board is making by continuing to employ the same council year after year after year after year without ever even taking a look to see what else is out there.
Again,
That would be the first comment. And the second one would be, I mean, one of the biggest problems, I think, just based on me talking to people in the community, that the community has, is they think that the board does whatever the hell they want, without paying much attention to what the citizens want. And a lot of this sort of stuff happens like in the dark. And by employing a contracted position via an RFP process, which is how that's normally done, you eliminate that, you bring that out into the sunshine. What does anybody have anything to be afraid of?
I don't think anybody's afraid. I think we're happy with what he does.
and again, it has to do with the history.
Yeah,
Look, if I have a doctor I'm
There's
happy with.
files, there's a file for every one of these cases.
Yeah, but
every
look,
one of
look,
these
if
issues.
you've got a doctor that you're really happy with, you've been seeing for the last 10 years, do you think you're gonna go up and, let me find a cheaper guy? Are you gonna have a whole bunch of guys bid, people that don't even know you?
Well, I'm on
and
that,
haven't-
I don't pay for
Yeah,
that.
you get my point though. Anyway, the point that the
Yeah.
board raised, and they were pretty much unanimous, so we're kind of beating a dead horse.
yeah, we are.
Is that
It's okay.
They really do not will not agree, let's put it that way, they
Yeah,
will not
yeah, they
agree
won't, they won't
to,
approve it
um,
one.
to a 5-year, you know, but,
All right,
you know, as you see,
yeah.
the contract is there, it's public.
Yeah,
And can I say one last thing, just in general?
Sure.
I've found that generally when people tell you how horrible the lawyers are, and then I ask, well, give me some examples.
yeah.
All they give me are that the lawyers said stuff that they didn't agree with.
And I'm not saying the lawyer's horrible.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
No, you're
I'm
not. I
saying,
have to-
I'm saying,
I'll
we
give
don't
you
know because we have nothing to compare it to.
Go
I'll
ahead.
give you that.
I
That's
think
what I'm
our
saying.
general manager has,
I hear both sides of it, and I think Don brought up a good point, Mr. Howell.
That's okay.
Brought up a great point about being satisfied with what we're getting. I can just tell you, from walking in as a GM from day one, I've never spoken to so many attorneys in my life that now I'm curious about going to law school because it's so fascinating. And Tim is an absolute wealth of knowledge when it comes to the historical information he has, intrinsic information he has about this district. And he is on speed dial and he is always available. And he is tight with the board and communicates with the board very, very well. And so what Mr. Howell was saying, they're very satisfied with his quality work. And I know you're not questioning the quality of work.
Mhm.
And I do know that
there's 8 years. He
Oh,
didn't
it's 8 years?
increase his fees for 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And, you know, Mr. Carmel, like myself, works at the pleasure of the board. So, you know, he's agnostic to what the board wants to do. If they're happy with his work, he stays. If they're not, he goes. I do know that when he left AG, they went from paying about 13,500 and now they're paying 38,000 a month.
That's
So-
what it costs for him, is
Arroyo.
38,000?
no, that was their new attorney,
Who's new attorney?
Arroyo Grande.
Oh, they were paying 13, now they went to 38?
They were hit, with him, they were
Yeah.
paying 13, now they're paying 38
Oh, with a different attorney.
with a different attorney.
Oh, so we could get a different attorney, but it would cost us more money.
Possibly.
We don't know because we've never,
We
we've
don't,
never
we
explored
don't know.
And how much do we pay per month
Well, it's
for
right there.
Carmel? I can't read that.
Oh, 13,000 from 11 to, 13,500 a month.
So we-
I would say that it's.
How much are we gonna pay him in his new contract?
That's,
That's it.
I
That's
can't
the-
read that.
oh, that's the new contract, 13,000
Oh, so we're gonna pay him $13,000 a year.
For
no.
60 hours.
a month.
13,000.
Oh, excuse me, a month,
month.
rather.
So it's an hourly rate of $240 an hour.
240.
Now, the
I
going
would
rate
say
right now is
historically,
6.
Yeah.
So-
you have board after board after board,
I
they
know.
continue to be pleased with his work.
Right.
So I think that's why we are where we are and they continue to use him. They
Right.
continue are satisfied with his work. So I don't think the board is interested in shopping. I understand what you folks are saying. I just think if you continually have boards that are like, no, we don't want to go away from Mr. Carmel, there's a reason why they're paying this rate because they're extremely satisfied with his work. So,
Yeah.
like Don was saying, if I have a good doctor, I'm not interested in looking for another doctor, although the community may want. that.
Yeah, and I understand that kind of transparency would by all means, would
Would-
mean a lot to
would
the community.
meet the board's fiduciary obligations.
We're meeting it now. We are. If you based on the information that we have, we are.
This is publicly available.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a board.
And his contract is publicly available.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's posted in the board packet for June next year.
Yes, Mr. Key.
The complaints and objections to this gentleman,
Yeah,
and I think, Don kind of touched upon this. Some specificity,
specificity.
thank you. Where's my vocabulary? Would probably be useful to address some of these concerns, might provide some public, information that
I
would,
would love to have specifics.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah. When you're unhappy with something, that's okay to be unhappy.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
But it would make it better for everybody if, you know, it was brought into light of day and addressed.
Anytime that I could have specifics, we'll give it to our general manager and he'll go directly to our attorney and we'll have a discussion about it. I mean, if that's the case.
And perhaps, you know, the community needs to understand that too.
Yeah.
If you have a specific complaint about this individual's work.
Yeah.
Then, you know, what do you do with it? Where do you take it and what kind of response could you expect from the board?
Well, I think you could come meet the general manager.
Well, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I
think- yeah,
understand that, but
I mean-
do members of the community also, you know, is that something they understand to do rather than just inculcate, you know, bad feelings because that's what you want to do?
I have a financial question.
Sure.
So if I divide, you said you're paying him $13,500 a month
Right,
and he's paid, charges $240 an hour.
200 and, did it say 225? Oh, there, 240.
For 60 and then.
240, so that comes up to about 56 hours a month.
Right,
So how do you figure that? Because you guys don't meet 56 hours
No.
a month. So he just gets a retainer kind of a thing. You just play the flat rate for,
eh,
it's not really about an hour. It's kind of.
Oh, it is, but he bills by
Yeah,
the
well-
hour because you will see him in.
So does he come up to
Yeah.
56 hours a month every month?
Yeah.
To make that 13?
it's usually more.
So it usually costs you more than 13,500?
It could,
Oh, so that's just the minimum amount that he charges?
Yes.
The 13,500? Oh, interesting. Okay, I was trying to figure that out.
yeah.
So he can charge whatever he wants and work as much as he wants. So, okay,
No,
well, yeah.
No.
But he could charge more.
well, he can,
Yeah.
but, okay, so go ahead. Did you want to say something?
I mean, I could go back and look at the expenditure report, but our expenditure report for Carmel and LaCasha is steady across the board, is it not?
Yeah, but he does bill for additional work that's outside of that 13,500. So if we exceed that in a month, he will bill us
Yeah.
additionally.
And
you
so
may
those are
see-
typically what, and I would imagine you'll see that right now.
Yeah, with litigation or
Mm-hmm.
something else, you may see additional charges besides the 13,500 retainer.
And is that at that rate?
Yes,
Yes.
That's why we're getting a bargain.
we are getting a bargain. Yeah,
One comment,
yes,
in the comparison that they made, was that publicly stated what the other cities were paying in this evaluation?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
the,
Well, you compared it to 3 other cities or whatever,
yeah,
one was 38,000. I never have heard that number or any other related.
was it
Costs.
part of the,
I heard that from Tim directly. I
Yeah.
don't know what was in the staff report.
No, that's why I'm asking, I haven't seen it, I just wonder if that shouldn't be included, to have the public realize what other cities are paying. So a lot of times when we do, for example, the waste pickup stuff, we have this big argument of what increases were too much.
Yeah.
We go through, we do for other cities,
yeah,
and say, oh, well, they're charging more than we're getting, oh, this is a good deal. See, we're not getting a
Is there anything else in
comparison,
that staff report about other
that's one,
attorneys outside of this regional one?
that may be what we're thinking, that,
yeah.
hey, we're getting a good deal, maybe
Well,
the
I
board
s-
knows it, but
Well, I saw it,
we don't.
so I don't know if it was in this board packet.
Cause that's why I didn't read any
You have-
comparisons.
Is there any other attachments about other attorneys? in
There.
comparison?
There we go. Yes, there's the
So
information.
comparisons were at the CSD level. I
Yes.
don't know if they went to city level because those are larger organizations. But I do know when, this is what Tim told me, when we
So
left.
he's competitive, he's not a big market right there.
Right.
I'm just,
What was that?
well, you're asking my impression, the way you're just talking that, oh, in macro, we're getting the best deal in town, but. you know,
Well,
else
we
is
were
230.
until last
No,
February.
No, no, I'm just saying, I got the different impression.
Yeah.
Now I've seen this, I
Yeah.
haven't seen it before.
Yeah.
That tells me he is right in the ballpark,
Well, but
so
yeah,
his great knowledge is a benefit for the same price we're getting.
exactly.
So,
The other
you
thing
know,
is, this is a public document. This was a board
Oh.
packet.
I didn't see that, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's on the
So
website.
Hmm?
It's on the
it's on
website.
the
I can
website.
share it with everyone.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
so you're welcome. So anything else? Okay, let's see if there's any public comment. Ms. Heinrichs, do you have public comment?
No, I do thank you all for this discussion. I am not impressed with Mr. Carmel. And I am also not persuaded by the argument that, oh, well, he knows us so well. I mean, I just see him as being one of the constants through some years of dysfunction by the board and the district, and that he certainly did not provide any guidance or assistance for. You know, there's been financial confusion, there's been all kinds of personnel problems, and he's helped preside over it. So I don't feel that this has, I don't see this as good guidance. And I support the idea that it would be worthwhile having competitive bids and talking with other attorneys and getting a different legal opinion. I mean, that's what we're paying for. These are opinions, they're legal opinions. Lawyers can differ, and we might want to explore those differences. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so what is before you is the document. Yeah, that was a handout. That is the document. And it speaks to what the board is willing to accept. There is an additional suggestion from one of our other board members. And he wanted to add, and this is really up to whether or not you all want to do this, adding to the duties. I'm gonna give you this piece of paper, so don't worry. He wants to add such duties, but are not limited to attending board meetings, assisting when necessary as parliamentarian to help the board comply with Brown Act and other requirements.
That's definitely not here. I remember that came
Yeah.
up, yeah.
I did put parliamentarian in there,
See, because we have multiple.
but it would be okay to just,
I think that sentence is.
yeah,
fine.
yeah, I do too.
So, let's see.
You're
So
adding
I
attend the
had
meetings?
to,
Yeah,
as a bullet point.
no, I think attend meetings is already there.
Required, present,
I think it's up here.
serve, oh, okay, never mind.
Perform,
Serve.
yeah.
Maybe you
Oh,
should
but
change
not-
that.
Duty include but not limited to providing legal assistance for policies representing district's interests. So what they want to do is expand that.
Yeah,
by
and
adding
use, and
this.
add this.
Okay, I'll stick it in at
Okay.
some point and then run it by, I guess by you.
Yeah,
Well, what
you,
is- yeah,
just
well,
send it to me because we need to give it to Miss Dodson. We
Okay,
need to give it to her so that she, because it's gonna be on the agenda.
oh, so that's okay, so now. and-
You guys
Yeah.
think that that's a good addition?
acceptable?
I have no idea what you're
Well,
talking
okay,
about.
Probably, you might want to replace the word attend with something like
Oversee.
dial in.
Dial in.
Or call in.
It's legit, attend is legit because.
Attend either in person or by remote.
Remote attendance.
Okay,
Okay, so here, so we should either by remote,
either in person or
Oh.
in remote.
either attending board meetings, either in person or remotely.
Yeah,
It really doesn't change anything, you're just.
Well, it's good to say what it is.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm gonna vote against
Remotely,
it.
okay,
that's
so.
fine.
attending
That's why
board
we
meetings-
have this committee. Yeah,
Let me see if I can, if we can get agreement where to put that, so, limited to blah, 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 I know, it can go right at the end. Directories, and keep the board and district staff comprised of.
Did they take out the
rules,
article?
legislation, blah, blah. Oh, no, such duties,
it's right
oh,
up
it's
here.
right here,
Yeah,
I'll have to stick it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna make a very long sentence,
yeah,
okay. I
it's
can do
okay.
that.
Okay,
I have one question I noticed, by the way, if this is
Yeah.
the truth,
yes,
this did not get changed. And it did get changed in this version. And I think it may just be an oversight. See, here is administrative department
You
manager,
gotta have a question.
No,
is what we asked for, and this is the old one.
this is what,
This is,
this is what the board wants.
so this the one they want?
Yes, chief
Chief
financial
Financial
officer.
Officer, okay. The other thing was that, now this is more for the committee,
Okay,
is if you look at the auditor, turn the page over to that more colorful section, and you'll see that there's certain, that one little phrase got omitted, and I just wanted you all to. So this has to do with, Jim, this is yours, including total indebtedness. And so
yeah, that did not get,
it did not get in.
no.
Is that something you want to?
consistent.
Well, I'm a little surprised that it didn't get in, actually, because I don't even know that they discussed this.
They
This hasn't
did.
been approved, has it?
It hasn't been approved.
Oh, well then maybe
No.
you should add it back in again.
No, they
Okay.
didn't want to add it. I'm
Have to
I'm
pick
letting
one.
you
But it has
know,
been approved.
it has not been
What
approved.
has it, they said they didn't want to leave in the,
There were things that they said they would not approve.
Well, they can disagree, then if it's at that time, right?
Yeah, but if,
Isn't that not correct?
but don't you want it to get approved
No,
finally?
they're gonna change it anyway, so that's my point.
They're
That's
not
the point, that if we want to add on something such as they have comments for, the public should realize that we are not necessarily, as a policy committee,
Right.
saying we want to do what the board does at their pleasure. We want to do what we think as a community.
I speak to
But-
it.
We do, but you still have to find
Yeah,
a
I'm not
compromise.
disagreeing. I'm just saying, we
Right.
may have a hard feeling about something that should be reconsidered if the committee doesn't want to agree with what they're agreeing with.
Well, we're gonna have to vote. And if the committee says no, then we'll go back and and every single one of you better be there at the meeting.
That was the point.
Compromise, compromise
For a minute.
is the wrong word to use in a situation where,
Oh,
where one side has all the power and the other side has none.
well, they have put things in here that,
So-
they didn't want to put in the beginning based on what you all said.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
satisfy. That's like, oh.
Can I say something?
Yes, you may
I
say.
think, okay, I think that if there is something, even as you as an individual, or if the committee,
Mhm.
a majority of the committee decides, if there's something in particular that you really feel strongly about, you really need, as I was watching the meeting, I really had no intention of speaking unless I absolutely had to.
Yeah,
But to leave it all for Deborah to put forward the things that we are trying to push seems to me
Yeah.
not exactly fair, because we are a whole committee.
yeah,
And rather just shove it onto her shoulders. And in possibly in a situation where you all, us all, vote for
Yeah.
something that maybe she doesn't even agree with because she didn't vote.
that's right.
So it behooves us to attend those meetings if there's something that we really care about.
And the reason they wanted chief financial officer here was because, they want whoever is in charge of money
That makes sense.
to be,
As opposed to that.
yeah,
That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Okay.
that's why
Does
they
the
did.
district have a chief financial officer?
That is part of,
It's a hat.
yeah, that's part of what, what's her name?
Oh, Denise.
Yeah, part of what Denise does but she also supervises other people.
Who's Denise?
Oh, Denise
Denise,
Fritz. Yeah.
Fritz is
Oh,
the,
okay. Oh, sure.
She's the chief
Denise
financial
Fritz,
officer.
Fritz.
she is, but she
Oh, she's the
also
chief financial officer, but
is
she's
the
also the.
administrative department.
Well, that's Haley.
No, that's
Oh, it's
not.
Haley.
No, that's
Was that
Denise.
Denise? Oh,
Yes,
good.
but that, yeah.
Oh.
So basically what they wanted is this needs to be who audits, who is working closely with the auditors needs to be the person who is in charge of finance.
And so what is her job normally? What is
Her
her,
job title is,
oh, is chief financial officer?
no,
Admin department manager.
administrative department manager. But under that, in fact, many times when you look at paperwork, it says / chief financial officer.
Okay, so it's not on key, this administrative department manager is not in this document.
No,
No,
it was,
yeah, we were getting.
because that was Denise, but we want to know the person who is doing the finances is the one who's gonna work directly with the auditor.
Should it also say administrative department manager and chief financial officer?
No,
No, okay. I have a point I was trying to
Okay.
about,
yeah,
back to the legal counsel. From my experience, I would think if he's been around for, yeah, he's been around for 15 years. He was here when we bought that, temporary water,
He's
What it costs.
conserved.
cleansing thing, the fiasco.
Yeah,
The one with
yeah.
all the things that now are sitting there that aren't used. So I'm thinking that, okay, one, if the legal counsel, his primary job is to advise on the Brown Act, which is kind of what you were saying earlier.
that's one of
That's
the,
one.
one of,
One of the things,
That's what he does.
one of the things he does. But, all attorneys know about the Brown Act, so, and they all know about the other things that I saw in kind of the list of things that he does. But I'm wondering if we have someone who is our attorney and advising us about how we spend our money, does he do that? He
No.
doesn't. So, but when he sees us doing something really egregiously wrong, he never said
if
anything.
it's illegal.
It's illegal for him to tell you?
No, if it's illegal, he will tell us. But he doesn't tell us how to make, what decisions to make.
He doesn't advise you when he thinks you're doing something that's really not a wise thing to do?
No, he does
No.
not.
Well, that's
Not if it's not-
unfortunate.
It's not if it's, not if it's, if it has to do with the law, yes,
But if it's, if it's in another context,
yeah.
then.
Like,
Like, is it-
making a
is Mike
financial
hired
agreement
this
with some
person or
outfit
that?
in Las Vegas who's kind of shady, you shouldn't have checked into that before we did that. I don't know. I just think that
That's
there are
not
some
his,
legal issues in there.
that's not his role.
And,
That's
oh,
the general
that-
manager
That is unfortunate.
and the board.
Yeah, we had a different general manager then.
Yes, you
This
did.
wouldn't have happened under this particular general.
Well, he wouldn't have fell for the switch and bait.
I don't think I think you're too smart for that, but,
There you go.
For these comments?
Yes, okay.
Write that down.
Okay, so do I have an emotion? Do I have a motion?
Okay.
I'll move that the policy committee, does not support the current draft. Legal counsel and auditor policy is presented to the committee on, March 28th.
and I second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye?
How many votes may I have,
That's
please?
three.
Three. Okay, yes.
Nays?
Aye.
I'm a nay, and I'm not voting.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, so based on that, what would you like to do?
I think we just communicate that back to the board. And, the board, obviously, the standing committees have no authority to do anything other than advise.
Right.
And that would be our advice.
Okay, so
I don't know this.
they can't consider how do we do that?
Well, the board can say, we don't care what the policy committee thinks, we're going to adopt this policy.
Right.
They can say,
Oh,
they
okay.
can
Right,
say,
that's
they
what
can
they're gonna
say,
do.
All
okay,
right.
policy committee, take another crack at this and see if you can come up with some wording that we would agree to.
Okay, tell me
They
the
have
basis,
Several issues.
tell me the basis for but you're all gonna be there, right?
So the basis would be that the language regarding, the issuing of an occasional RFP for legal services was removed from the legal part of the policy, and that the language regarding providing the ratepayers with clear information regarding the total indebtedness of the district was also removed.
Okay.
So they don't want this contracted consultant position to be competitive in nature, and they don't want the ratepayers to know how much the board has obligated us to pay.
Okay,
Oh, wait
Well,
a minute.
you-
That you're.
you have it. You have that
That's not,
information.
there's no evidence that they don't want, the board does not want the ratepayers to know what we're paying the lawyer.
Right.
That's absolutely, you're making that out of whole cloth, Jim.
I don't think so. I've read through the finance reports many times.
And where does
And
it
you
hide
get
it?
done and it's pretty unclear. I mean, it's like the old question we had is how much have we spent on the water
You're
treatment
right.
facility, you know?
Unknown.
Who knows?
Well, no, we did know. In fact, I gave a report on that.
Right.
So did Perry. And the deal is that you're,
Right.
I think you're making assertions without, if you're, let's put it this way, what you say may be true, that it's very hard to pull out the information that you would like to see. But to thereby presume that people's motives, that they're not operating with the best of motives, I think that's very unfair. And nor is it productive.
But-
You are taking the position that this board is hostile to the community and that the staff is hostile to the community. And that's an unfair position to take.
I don't think I
You
used.
can't-
Well, no,
So,
that's what I'm hearing
okay,
from.
okay,
you
so
know.
let me, because I'm,
You're
I'm-
reacting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
know.
know, but
well, I
get tired of hearing all this hostility.
okay, so this is what I need to have concrete reasons.
So those are the two reasons that I would come up with,
Okay.
that the
The language with the RFP
Right.
was removed
Right,
and the
and the
total
language of-
indebted was removed.
Right,
Okay.
it's something that
Sure.
is, and I think, I don't remember exactly what the language was, but we phrased it in a way that someone without having to spend 4 hours going through 300 pages of financial documents can figure out that, well, we owe this much to this person, and that much to that person, and this much to that person. You can
Right.
do that in one paragraph, really easily.
Right, okay, so I'm gonna do this and we need to take it off the consent agenda.
Let's see if we can. To me, it's something here just as a positive thing. Can we also report back that,
Yes,
that the board, that the committee did agree to?
well, you're gonna put it in here
Yeah.
and what we're gonna say is this is what the committee agreed to,
This, yeah,
except
except for that.
for
Okay.
this, and so there was not a majority vote in favor of approving.
Could we have a vote then on this and then maybe we can have a positive?
Sure.
I'm trying to get something
Thank you.
positive out of this,
Thank
yeah.
And that's positive without the address.
Without the
I
what?
can't accept it without his,
No, we're not accepting, I'm just asking.
No, we're not.
Motion to include this wording,
Yeah.
not to adopt, not
Yeah.
to recommend the policy,
Yeah.
but simply to include this wording.
Oh, what is it?
Okay, so again, to repeat, so it'll come after, legal counsel shall perform such duties, blah, blah. And then it will go on to say such duties include, but are not limited to, attending board meetings either in person or remotely, which is what you all asked for, assisting when necessary as parliamentarian to help the board comply with the Brown Act and other requirements, providing legal assistance necessary for formulation and implementation of legislative policies and projects.
I don't,
You don't like
Didn't
those
have a
words?
problem with that.
I don't think it's really relevant. I don't think it doesn't add anything to the
Okay.
discussion. That would be my opinion.
The reason I
I
asked.
mean, those are all things that are part of his job description now, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so is pretty much the whole policy. But let's vote on that.
Yeah, so I move that we.
Wait,
include this.
no, you have to ask him if he will.
No, we're still not recommending the policy
Right.
as it is, but
That's
Oh,
agreed. That's,
but as a separate
That's
issue, yeah.
done, yes.
So I move that we include the words which I just read
So now you make another motion. Okay,
in the
good.
spot which I just said, which is in the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll need a second. though.
Is there a second?
I'll second it because I think it should be addressed.
Yes.
And just in general, honestly, I have to say, I haven't heard enough to make me feel as though due diligence on this guy's salary has not been done. I mean, we just looked at it.
Mhm.
That's,
Yeah.
so I'm just not seeing, I'm not seeing the objections that have been passed, so that's why
Well, that's.
that's just my rationale.
Sure.
well, salary is just part of the discussion. I mean, it's
Yeah.
what you pay and then it's also what you get for what you pay.
Right.
Mhm. The vote.
Okay, so let's vote on this wording. All those in favor?
Aye. Three,
Okay.
Casey, three. Eight,
Against?
I'll abstain.
Okay,
And I'm abstaining.
okay,
Okay.
two abstain, and so this is Gordon.
Yeah.
Ted and Sylph.
Yeah. okay.
And here, this is just blind because I won't be able to get this
No,
from
it's
the
okay.
recording. So Jim moved and it was Gordon. Jim.
Hello.
Hi, I'm
Yeah.
Scanlon. This is a full policy committee.
Yeah.
Yes, Laura, Hillary.
Is it okay if I sit in?
We love it when we have people.
It has really nothing to do with that stuff.
It's free, yes.
I-
Okay, so
Good age.
let me know when you're good.
Okay, what did I say? Jim, and I can even read my own writing here, Claudia. Okay, we can go.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to our next agenda items. And that is, yes. And we're gonna ask our general manager, McElhaney, to help with this discussion. This is 4C, discussion and update on board action on CCSD owned vehicle policy. It might work. Yeah. Oh, thank you. So you have a lot of information here. And, it's pretty much what I discussed early on about, what happened with the policy. The board said that they truly didn't think that it's a complete policy unless it actually speaks to, employees taking vehicles home, even if it's just people who are on call. So because of that, we must defer work on the policy until the discussions occur that Mr. McElhaney is going to tell us about, so that we can then look at section 3 of the policy and reword it as directed by the board.
I have a question real quick. It's important. I really have something to report, under the environmental issue, and if this is gonna take a long time,
I
I'd
don't
like
think
to,
it's going to take a long time.
okay.
Yeah.
You said there's a lot of information. so-
Yeah, not only that, we'll make sure you get simply
Okay.
what you need.
Okay, thank you.
So as far as the vehicle use policy, that applies to our on-call operators, so, several robust discussions. We no longer have any management personnel taking home vehicles, even if they're on call, we're not taking on these vehicles. We still have our wastewater and water on-call operators taking home trucks. I have spoken with union members and staff members at the water and wastewater department. I have some pretty strong feelings about this. They're going to bring forward their concerns and their issues. I've spoken with our legal team at Liberty Cassidy and Whitmore. There are union implications when it comes to getting rid of this practice. It's been happening for over a decade. By definition, that is considered past practice, which is a common term among unions. We would need to meet and confer if the board decided to eliminate the use of those on-call vehicles, because it is a past practice and considered somewhat of not formally, but an agreed upon benefit by having these operators on call. So what we need to do is meet in closed session with labor negotiators, Lieber Cassidy Whitmore representative, the board, and inform the board on potential consequences if this policy was changed. And those can be financial consequences. The union may come back and request, okay, if you're gonna do this, we wanna open up the contract and we wanna negotiate higher standby pay, higher hourly rate, whatever it may be. My guess is the union will come back and be looking for some form of compensation if this practice goes away.
I should
Yeah.
ask you first.
Yeah,
Just for clarity, so what
Yes.
the issue that we're really talking about here is not the issue of managers
no,
as an employee benefit. We're talking about the on-call operators. And the question is, should they be driving their own equipment, their own car, as opposed to say, a properly equipped truck?
Correct.
Right.
I think we need to be very clear about that in our discussion.
Yeah.
It's not like we're just providing transportation, because as I recall, when Mr. Green was speaking to us as well, the reason why they're taking the truck is so that they can have it without and be able to deal with an emergency in the fastest way possible. And I don't hear that from the board or from the staff. I'm not hearing that there's any desire to change that. But the issue is trying to explain it and lay it out in a way that the public may not accept it, but they're gonna have to.
We're gonna lay it out from the staff perspective on why our staff continue to believe that we should continue with this practice.
Yeah.
There's obviously gonna be some public comment on this very shortly.
Yes,
And there's disagreements
Yes.
about that and our rationale behind it, and we'll have to explain that to the board. We've done it a little bit here, staff has done it in front of this committee, but we'll also have to explain it in closed session when we talk about the negotiation piece of it.
Just wanted to get clarity as to
Mhm.
where the issue is. So
Right,
that's the
absolutely.
issue that we're really dealing with.
Correct.
It's kind of a dead issue, the issue of the managers, just as an
It
employee.
is over.
That's done with.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and I'm gonna take comments from the committee and then we'll have public comment. Yes. Mr. Hikes.
I don't disagree with the policy. The disagreement is with taking a perfectly good truck and putting it in Paso Robles, and you have an earthquake and you can't get it to Cambria because there's roads closed. Now, you got the guy that's actually there, that's wonderful, but the truck isn't, that somebody else can drive. That's the big question of, and for example, I guess we're having a 15-foot wave flood this weekend. We're gonna keep the trucks out by we're in the lowland areas, is somebody gonna say, hey, maybe we should move those up? This is my point of concerns, that I don't disagree with people getting paid for it. If they have their own vehicles, that would even be better, that if you pay them so much a mile, they're back and forth on their own call. That's what normally one would do. Now, if they lived in Cambria, then that wouldn't be a problem. But like you say, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to live here, and they have to have that for incentive. And I agree with all that, because they should get paid for doing those things and pay for being on duty, but how they acquire and get back and forth is what I disagree with.
That's what it's.
Yes.
Again, just to get clarity on the discussion, there's no issue about taking the only emergency equipment out of the town. According to Mr. Green, there are 6.
There's more trucks than we have.
So somebody
Stand by
drives a
for-
truck out, that doesn't mean that equipment would not be available in town in the event that the highway gets destroyed and the other guy couldn't. Because that's been kind of an assumption that, my God, the emergency equipment's gone. It's like the fire engine can't get there, but that's not the case.
Correct.
We have enough equipment.
Don, I'm glad you're up to date on that, 'cause
No,
we're not.
well, no,
You're,
Jim, Mr. Green.
you're
it was-
misinterpreting this.
No, I'm
entirely.
not
Can you get
misinterpreting.
to the public comments?
No, I heard the comments and I watched the meeting.
No,
and I
you did
heard
not.
Mr. Green say.
You did
in the
not.
meeting
No,
that
not our
there
meeting.
were
Mr. Green
6.
did
No,
say-
it's, I'll give you it's in the last board meeting.
Yeah.
And it was in response to
Not in
public
this
comment.
public meeting.
No, not here.
Not
Thank
here.
you.
But in the board
you.
meeting, which is where you guys should be paying attention. You're not doing your job.
Thank you, Don, I appreciate that.
You're
Go
welcome.
ahead and make your comment.
Well, that was my comment.
Yeah,
because-
thank you.
Well, it helps.
Yes,
Because no, I think like Christine and other people are right. If it was the only fire engine, you sure as hell don't want to take it out of town.
Yes, Mr. Key.
Well, I think that one of the things that this brings to a head is, and it starts to come into the next thing we're going to consider, which is the environmental climate policy. This forces an issue, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of an e-truck.
Mhm.
You know, to me, you know, I understand why such a person would need to have that equipment. I understand that it is a problematic issue for people who are working for this district to buy homes here and live here. I get all that. But if there is a financial issue of compensation that's brought forward by the union as a result of these discussions that you're gonna have. That needs to be factored in as to whether or not it makes more sense to go ahead and buy the e-truck that you need for this to take place. That's what I think.
Those, yeah, and those discussions will definitely happen, and that's part of the labor negotiation piece that we'll have in closed session and talk to the board about. There's a larger piece to it too, and you know, some folks aren't gonna wanna hear this, but, I talked to the union employees and the staff that have to do this on calls. They absolutely hate it. They get paid $50 a day to be on standby. They'll be on duty for 7 to 9 days straight. They'll work their 8 hours. And even on the days that they're not coming to the plant to work their normal 9-hour days, they're still on call for $50 with a tied to a phone. At 24 hours around the clock for that $50, not knowing if they're gonna get woken up. They sleep in their wives' beds, that phone goes off blaring. They get up, they wake the wife, they wake the kids. And so there is some issues with retention, recruitment, and then there's issues with those staff just feeling flat out, you know, not feeling appreciated because they don't want to be on call. None of them do. There may be a few that want to be on call for the hopes that they can make a little bit of overtime, but for the most part, they would tell you to keep your $50 in your phone and, you know, call me, and if I decide to answer the phone, I'll come in, type of a thing. And so, you know,
If you've never been on call 24/7,
Yeah.
365,
it's awful.
believe me, I have, and it's a different.
Oh, it is.
The other piece of it is that our wastewater folks, they work with food.
Yeah.
And they do not want to get into their vehicles when they've been working with that
Yeah.
type of things that their kids drive around in. So there's the other piece of it where they drive to the district. If they were driving to the district in their personal vehicles, they're driving in clean clothes, they change into their clothes, then they will go to the emergency from there. If they were to do that in their personal vehicles. If it's district trucks, you know, they don't have an issue with changing, you know, outside in their washroom into their dirty boots and things like that and get in that truck and drive it, you know, so there's a lot of different factors to it.
Yeah.
You know, some will agree with it, some won't. But I am concerned about our recruitment and retention because it's not easy to get folks to work in Cambria, let alone some of the 8 areas in which they have to live.
That is a separate issue from my major concerns.
True, I understand, but that'll all be brought into consideration, the cost, the potential cost for the negotiations piece, you know, the EV piece of it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but the regular truck, you know, I'm not talking about, you know, 115 XLTs.
Right.
We're talking about the base level electric truck is 40 grand minus the 7,000 you're gonna get back from the government.
Okay, Jim's on top of it, and we know that the mandate is.
And
is coming.
I think he's in favor of it. It's my
Absolutely.
guess. He seems to be a guy who,
He drives an EV?
well, there you go. So there you go.
Yes.
I have a quick question here. GM just said something about, they didn't like, using their own personal cars and getting poop on their clothing and getting their personal cars where their kids would be in there. And I thought, wasn't that illegal? They're not supposed to use company vehicles with their family.
No, if they had their own cars.
That's what I said.
If they drove their own cars and they came here and worked with poop and then got in their own car,
Yeah. So
they,
anyway, what if they change their clothes before they put the poop in their car?
Well, that's
Put that in the policy.
what they do.
Can
They have
put
a
on
shower.
a jumpsuit or
It-
something over their clothes? You know?
It's mandated that
Yeah.
they have change of clothes, shower facilities and things like that. I'm talking about response.
Well, then that's no problem then. if
yeah,
they-
response time.
Response time into the district is they're not coming in those uniforms. They will have to come in, change it to the uniforms, boots.
Well, as I said, if you had a jumpsuit that would go over their clothing, but if they knew they were coming in an emergency, would they come in their best Sunday best? Really, probably not.
Yeah, but they, well,
You know?
but they want to get here as soon as possible.
Well,
So
yeah, but
that's,
they-
the-
if there's a middle of the night, they're gonna have to get dressed unless they're coming in their
Right.
skivvies or something, no.
Right.
But
do we have
I just take issue when you got somebody that's driving for 35 or 45 minutes,
Well,
sometimes more, and they're coming in an emergency. It just seems weird that another 5 minutes would make such a big difference.
no, I have a
you know?
question.
I mean,
So-
relatively speaking, it's a small amount. It's like this much time out of the time it takes them to get here.
Do
So
you have a list of the people who are ever on call and where they?
We do have a list of those folks. I didn't bring it today.
No, we
but
don't
that-
need it today, but I think that would be important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
another quick question is that you say it was like you had only 2 people that took vehicles home and now you've got 6 of them. So I don't have,
No.
so I don't
no.
understand how many
No.
vehicles you have.
Two people bring,
Question.
two people
Don
bring,
was trying to tell him.
yeah, 2 people bring wastewater and water.
One truck for water,
Yeah.
one truck for wastewater. Those
Okay,
are the two
Okay, so
vehicles.
one is green and who's the other one that takes it home?
No.
Green doesn't take
It's not
it.
management.
Only people
This is the
on-
Operators.
Only people
Yeah,
on call. It's not the directors or the managers.
And so these are the same people on call all week or the same, did they have every day have a different person on call?
From my understanding, I have to, I'll get it more detailed, but I believe there's 7-day stretches or something like
Yeah.
that, where there are 7 to 9 day stretches. One operator's on call for that entire 9 days.
Oh,
Then-
no wonder they don't like it, yeah.
Well, we only have so many operators.
Right, but if you altered it, then they wouldn't, they know
They
they have
do
a night
alternate,
off.
they do alternate, but
But
it
you
has
said
to
every
happen.
7 to 9 days, that's a long.
Well,
time.
That's one person.
That's one
But
person.
we have to cover 365 days a year, and when you only have, let's say, 4 people in wastewater and 4 people in water, like everybody's gonna get a piece of it
Yeah,
every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, well,
That'd probably be too confusing to have them do like 2 days on it.
Any other committee member? Okay, so let's take public comment. Ms. Hydricks.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for this discussion. Yes, one of my questions was, I was extremely surprised when Mr. Green said at the board meeting that there were actually 8 fully equipped vehicles. He said that even when 2 are out of town, there's still 6. I mean, 2 months ago, we sat in this committee meeting and were having great difficulty with the fact that the district had only a single thus equipped vehicle. So I was wondering where those extra vehicles got equipped so quickly. That just, I'm just astonished, because that was one of my biggest concerns, was that there was no alternative, and now suddenly there is, which
don't
I'm
think it-
interested in how that happened so quickly and how we didn't know that before.
Yeah, let me just respond, because I think it was a miscommunication at the previous board meeting, previous policy committee meeting. Because I did understand that there was more than one truck that had that equipment on it. It's just that that's the person who's on call. The other, let's say if there's one truck gone and 5 trucks here with that amount, with that equipment, there is no one to drive it because they're not on call. So that person who is on call has that truck that's equipped. Then there are 5 more that are here that are parked. But there is no one else on call. Unless that person thinks he needs help, and then he's gonna do whatever he can through contacting his supervisor.
That doesn't really clarify it for me, but whatever.
Well,
You
now
know,
you're saying
this
6,
mysterious
8.
equipment that is so, that just can't be handled by anyone else, is, even when it's here in the district, I'm having trouble grappling with this, and I'm very confused by the fact that every time this issue comes up, there's different reasons why it can't be resolved. Certainly, these personnel issues are significant, but there are solutions to these. And people being on call may be inconvenient, but it's like, if you become a nurse, and you're working in a hospital under certain conditions, you're gonna, this is just a fact of emergency personnel. And I'm sorry if it's inconvenient for them, but there are ways of, other communities have worked this out. There's standards about this. I'm not sure why this is such a terrible problem that Cambria is finding is so difficult to resolve. So, like I say, I am much more satisfied now that we are not sending the sole emergency equipment out of town. We're just sending the sole operator out of town. Perhaps there's
Right.
some cross training that could work on resolving that. And as we resolve the cost issues, that was originally how I got involved in this. And then I was so shocked to hear that the emergency equipment was sent out of town. I'm interested that you understood that, Deborah, when the rest of us were in a different discussion. So, but I agree with Ted as well. Then this is the time, this may be the tipping point to purchase trucks that run on renewable energy rather than producing greenhouse gas emissions and the costs of buying fuel. I mean, that fuel cost can easily compensate for any additional compensation that these workers deserve. I have no desire to cut them short.
So is that your total comment?
Well, I'm sort of curious to see how this goes because I'm so confused at this point, having heard so many different rationales that I don't know what to think, and I don't really have confidence in any of this at this point. I sort of feel like, would it be possible to go and actually see this equipment? We really have 6 trucks equipped when 2 months ago we only had 1. I mean, I'm mystified.
Yeah, that was not true.
Why
So,
did they say it was true if it wasn't true? That's the troubling part.
No,
That's all right, Don.
they did not.
It's okay, it's
I
okay,
was here.
yeah.
You were here.
Yes,
Okay.
I was here.
So
I
let's
know. So,
leave that alone.
yes, thank you.
So what we're doing right now is discussing and updating on where we are with the policy, and that's exactly what we've done.
Okay.
And so, we don't
We
need,
directed not to take any action on this until
Right.
discussions with the
That's
employees
exactly-
in the union.
Sure.
Right?
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I'm just updating.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's go on then to agenda item 4D. This is discussion on the August 14th, 2023 R&I ad hoc committee report on climate change. Policy recommendations, and you have those minutes. You have the recommendations in your packet. I do want to let you know that I talked with the chair of the R&I, Ms. Dean, and she just told me that the people who are on the task force, the ad hoc committee, are Mark Meeks, our general manager, our board member, Dean, and Julie Amadei. So those are the people that are on that committee, that ad hoc committee. They have been to workshops. That committee has been to workshops. One was on April 2nd. And then on May 5th, there is a grant application that is due on May 5th. It's called the Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Grant. And that is something that we're going to be applying for. So that's the information that I have. I believe that you probably all have read their recommendation, and it's here for discussion. The recommendations, and it's here for discussion. Yes. Committee member.
Oh. Okay, one of the things that they said in here is that, they wouldn't be able to do this because, I have to find it,
Right.
because there's, it's, under actions, it says identifying and measuring sources of air pollution, GHG, whatever. So
Where is it that you're talking?
actions, right at the top of it, it says summary actions,
Oh, okay.
and it's a bullet point.
Yes.
This is the first bullet point under one. Okay. So I I took issue with this because I know that there's a air pollution monitor on the library. It's been there for a long time. So I called and talked to Carl Tupper, who is the head of air pollution control for things like this. And he actually installed that one. He installed probably the other two that are in the town. There's one at the library, and I have a map. If you ever want to go look for this, it's called, I have the website I have is map.purpleair, purple is in the color, air is in the stuff above or all around us, and .com. And if you go on that and you click on, at the top of it says map, there's a drop down and it says, hang on a second, it says, well, hang on a second. So anyway, go to the drop down and go to maps and it'll say, current, did I find it here? There it is, real-time map. Okay, so
Okay.
just touch map, go real-time map, and you'll go to, California and you'll see the maps and you can see where the monitors are located. Now, what he told me is this, is that they are really good for evaluating the ups and downs of air pollution. In other words, when we have fire, lots of PM 2.5, then can get really, really bad. When we have tons of people, like 3,000 people a night for this, the Christmas market, and people say that there isn't a problem with that. Well, maybe there is a problem with that because it does increase our air pollution. And when you have thousands of people driving very slowly and stopping and things along, looking at scarecrows. So I'm just saying we have extra impacts of tourism. It does increase the amount of air pollution. We do have air pollution. It rates it between like 0 and, 2.5 and 10. And 2.5 is the smallest particulates and 10 is a larger number. So right now, today, because you've had all this rain, we're at 4. That's not 0. It's not it's good,
Yeah.
but it's not 0. So 4 means that we don't have 2.5. Anyway, it's just, those are different numbers. I'm sorry. So 4 is just a number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
But anyway, what I'm saying is that we should let the R&I committee know that it's not true about not being able to monitor these things. And you can also monitor the amount of electricity and you can monitor, because we have that. We are in charge of X amount of street lights and CSD lights. And we also have, and then we can talk to PG&E, they'll give us all the numbers on that stuff. So now I've gotten numbers. So I know that all this stuff is available. So it just kind of upset me a little bit when I saw that because it's not factual. Oh, but one more thing I do have to qualify. These monitors are $250-ish monitors. These are not high-tech monitors. As I said earlier, they're not calibrated to give you all this really minute details of it, but they're good enough to tell you if we have air pollution increase when we have a lot of tourists or when we have a fire. So, and I think that's probably what people are looking at, is to see those big numbers. So my suggestion is that the CCSD buy a couple of more of these monitors and put them in maybe close to where the people park, for the Christmas market, or where, downtown, we have a lot more congestion on the east end of town or something like that. So that we get a cross reading of what's in town. So that would be my suggestion. Or if we really want to do that, if we want to be accurate about it, then we could look into what it would cost. I have no idea what it would cost to get a really accurate unit, and we could put it on the middle of the town like they did at the library or something like that.
so, because you had such a reaction to it,
Me?
yes, will you please, write me an email,
Oh, okay.
to say what you just said,
Oh, okay.
and, I will forward it to the chair.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yes,
So,
who was next? Who was first?
Go
Okay.
well, I mean, I read through the memo. And there was a lot of, information about applying for grants. But not much in the way of information of exactly what they were intending to do with the, grant funding.
Okay.
And that's a fairly common issue that public agencies have when it comes to grants, because people get stars in their eyes and they think it's free money.
Yeah.
Without having a clear understanding of what the obligations are that come with that funding.
Yeah.
And so it would be nice if they could clarify exactly what they were intending to do with this money.
Yeah, and this report was dated August 14th, and, I would venture to say that we can get those answers from the ad hoc committee based on their work, they're going to these resource meetings. So hopefully,
And when you want letters of recommendation to go along with the grant from the state of California,
Mhm.
you want to get them from state level elected officials, not from the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Would you like an update? on this?
Yes, please. Would you update us?
Typically, that's not gonna, impress the folks in Sacramento.
I was working with the ad hoc committee, and so the first time we submitted this, we got copies of what was submitted. It was kind of done a little bit in haste because short window to get it turned in, and it was done by previous staff. I met with the ad hoc committee, and we started looking at what we thought would, how we would articulate our need for the grant and show the need for it. And so we focused on the threat of fire in Cambria. So one of them was looking at funding for an evacuation route. That's kind of hit a roadblock right now with one of those avenues. So we switched gears, and I've been speaking with Karen Dean on the side and working with Julie. We're looking at building a emergency evacuation center, but here at the Vets Hall, making it a certified evacuation center. And what we want to do is take that grant money and make this compliant. So right now, this doesn't meet the specs of an emergency evacuation center.
Are you planning on stuccoing the outside of the building or something? And how are you gonna make this a safe place to be?
Well, it's gonna have to be, it's in lots, it's in disrepair, so that money will help make it meet code. I mean, I'd have to pull out all the FEMA regulations of what an emergency evacuation center has to have, but it's kitchen, heating, sleeping, it has to have a certain size kitchen and be able to feed.
But it doesn't have to be safe. I mean,
Fireproof.
this is a tinderbox ready to,
Fireproof.
Well, that would be a part of the grant, would be
Part of it.
a piece.
so you'd have to
remodel.
stucco the building or something. You'd have to somehow
Yeah, that
secure the
fire,
building.
fire engineers would have to be the ones that work on that, so that's
Oh,
not,
boy.
that wouldn't be our focus, it would be, our focus would be, can we get $500,000 in order to make that happen?
Well, it'd be a good way to update the building, which is badly needed. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Key.
Okay,
We,
I submitted my original climate change policy December 27th of 2021.
I know, and I rewrote it.
That's what this.
And you looked at it, and here we are in March of 2024,
Oh, yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So a couple of things come to mind here. I'm all for looking at grants. I'm all for making sure that what we do is concurrent with the upcoming requirements that are gonna be coming down the pipe statewide and all of that. That's great, no problem.
Can I interrupt you just for a minute?
Sure.
Will it be okay if we have to, is there another meeting at 5?
No, I'm just letting you know.
Okay, we may need to go 10 minutes over. Is that gonna be okay with you all?
Yeah, I'll be quick.
Okay. Okay, is that gonna be okay?
I'm not gonna.
Okay.
All I'm going to say is, we don't really have the luxury of fiddling and fooling around of what we can do as a district right now.
Right,
Each and every one of us needs to be making adjustments in our lives to accommodate for
Yeah.
the climate crisis.
So,
And,
soapbox is in the closet.
yeah. So, I'm just saying here, we need to get some action happening
yeah.
sooner than later. And
Well,
that's,
And
and I'm
I,
not seeing that over a 3-year period.
well, I think that what you're talking about is different than what this ad hoc committee is working on. So I think you're absolutely right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with my talking with with Director Dean to say, what about the rest of it here? So, I will do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying at this point.
Hey, anything else on this? We have any public comment? No? Do we have public comment from Ms. Heinrichs?
She's pushing
Nope.
her speaker button.
No, she's muted.
No, she's muted.
She's a
Okay.
little,
I guess not.
oh, okay.
All right. Anything else from the
Oh,
committee?
she just muted.
No, she didn't unmute. I removed her
Yeah.
from speaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, never mind. Sorry, I'm sorry. to interrupt.
Okay, okay. Yes,
Not quite sure if I'm understanding this as a policy that affects Cambria's environment, or it's a policy that they're saying, well, we don't have and should maybe get, because it's not saying anything we should be doing.
this page 21 here, this is December 27th at the top.
You know, talking about this policy as a climate change recommendations.
Oh, that's a report from their ad hoc committee.
I'm not impressed. I'm just saying, it's nice, but, so that's what I'm just saying, I didn't want to be sure.
You know,
They went and got different things, which is nice at the start.
but there are a lot of, things that I think we can add.
Yes,
that
that's
we
what
can
I
do.
was thinking. I wasn't
And,
sure whether they're giving it back to us now
No.
to say,
No,
they're not doing it. Why?
they're not given, because
That was my question to start with, when they
Because it-
went to them, they
because I-
shouldn't have went there in the first place, my
Let-
opinion.
yeah, let me talk with Director Dean and let me find out how we can help.
Right, I just need some
Yes,
work. I think.
yes. No, I think so too.
Well, that's right, I just make sure I wasn't being,
No,
I'm
I will.
not
talk-
saying they didn't do a job what they were
Yeah.
trying to do or thinking they would be appropriate. But,
I'm just gonna
for
put,
a small city, it shouldn't be something that,
how can we help?
right, yeah,
Okay.
that'd be a good
Yeah.
idea.
All right, and you're gonna write me a,
I'll write you
email.
about the air pollution quality board.
Great.
Yeah.
okay, anything else? Anything,
Oh, and what are we doing with this? That's, you said what else?
I'm just gonna talk with, Director Dean and talk about, or suggest, how can we help? How can we support?
May we make some alterations? Is that what you're gonna ask her or just?
Not the report, no.
Oh.
What we have
Policy.
here,
No, I
the
mean,
policy is,
policy.
this is our policy.
Right.
Yeah.
This is not their policy. So, we have to get to a point where we can work together with the R&I task force.
So, okay, so you're gonna ask her how to do that?
How do we do that?
How do we, like, do we have a joint meeting?
Yes,
Because this was referred to them
Yes.
from us.
yes, it was.
I think a joint meeting.
No, it wasn't, it was referred to the board.
Right?
The board, we were expecting.
Bottom
to
line
do
is-
it.
I really like
Right.
how I rewrote your policy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, here we are.
okay, so do we have any future agenda items?
This one.
Okay, so I will come back and I will review with you my discussion with Director Dean. Right? Okay,
Let's see. I'm
I have
doing,
this, but I still owe her a thank you. Now, you wanna give that to me? That's your contract for the.
the CCSD
I don't
owned
have- I
vehicle
don't have a hard
policy will
copy
bring
of
back
it.
when it's time.
okay.
Legal counsel, I will.
Thank you note. I'll send the thank you.
Hey, just wait, wait, you guys,
Well, adjourned yet, guys.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not done yet. Excuse me, Mr. Key, we're not done. So, any other future agenda items? Nope, okay, let's adjourn.
Okay.
Okay.